Hello everyone, and welcome to my totally amateur review of the Teenage Engineering OP-1. So this here is the Teenage Engineering OP-1, and maybe you're asking, what the hell is this thing? If you're at all into making music, then you already know what this thing is. This is like the music producer's go-to little gadget for portable music creation. A lot of music producers use this to sketch little ideas, and then they bring them back home, and they use whatever Ableton Live or whatever to make music, to like fill out their ideas. I like to write music for video games, and the things that I can write with this device are good enough for me actually without putting it into a DAW like Ableton or Traction or Fruity Loops or whatever. So let's turn it on and have a look at it. If you're used to my my mobile phone reviews, then this will be a little bit different, because I'm not going to review like software spec or hardware specs and stuff like that, because it's not a phone. Okay, so the first thing you can see when I turn on the device is you see what looks like a tape right there. First and foremost, this thing is a synthesizer. Okay, so if I click on the Synth Engine right here, and I turn it up, the little onboard speaker is really quiet, but let's change it to a different sample here. It's a synth. Oh my gosh, it's a synth, and you can use these cool little knobs to change the sound. I'm using this I'm doing this one-handed because I have to hold my phone. I'm too cheap to actually get a phone stand. So I can turn these things here and basically change the nature of each sound. And there's a lot of possibilities for this. Like, there's just so much possibilities. You should be able to make thousands upon thousands of unique synthesized sounds from this device. It's pretty cool. On the top here in Synth Mode, you have a couple different things. One here is this, like, it shows you what like the synthesizer is doing on the LED screen. On the second one here, it shows you like the attack and sustain and whatnot and release. That's the attack. Ooh, so special. You see that line bouncing around? That's because this synth engine, it modulates. When we go back to the screen right here, you can see it's basically a voltage modulator. Now, what I can also do, 3 here is like a different kind of... Ooh, neat. There's all sorts of really cool, I'm kind of getting distracted here. There's all sorts of really cool filters that you can put on here, and each filter is represented by an awesome little like thing on the screen, on the LED screen. So for example, I go to the CWO, and it's actually a cow, you know. That's pretty cool. And you can play with the cow, and you can tell it to do different stuff. Ooh, a delay. Very neat stuff. Now let's just stop that. I got it out. All right. And then of course there's just your like standard stuff, like your delay right here. Tells you the speed, the feedback, that's how much power is in each echo after it, and then you can do the distance. Wait for it. There it is. Yeah. Wait. There it is, yeah. So it's basically like having it in a larger room and playing the sound and waiting for it to come back to you from further away. Pretty neat stuff. All of these knobs here are supposed to be airline industry standard knobs. They're very like good quality. They feel great in turning on. They're clicky. They tick, 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 tick. They are notched, so you can like fine tune your turning here. They also have a secondary push function, but I don't think Teenage Engineering has ever put a feature or function for the pushing in. It's too bad. So I can go through all sorts of different synth engines here. Right now they're preset to my 1 to 8 keys in here. In the synth mode, they have these functions of the 1 to 8 for different like synths. And of course, if I go to like 1 here, and it's this sample and it's too quiet for you to hear right now, I can also hold shift and press 1, and I can change the generator, the synth engine. And then I can change a preset. It's like one of the preset, one of the presets for that engine. Neat. Ooh. Very plain. Okay, so you get the general idea of the synth engine. Now let's go to the drum engine. There is a drum engine in here. Of course, there are like sample packs that are on the device. So what it is basically doing is each key here just plays a different section in a 12-second file that has different beats in it. So if you played the sound file, if you open up the file explorer on the computer and like played that sound file, it would just be 12 seconds of random beats and stuff playing. But because the person who made, you know, the company made this sound pack or whatever, it's all timed to be a different beat on each key. And you can actually go onto the internet and find people who have made tons of different like 12-second sound samples. Even on SoundCloud you can find them, and you can just upload them onto your device through USB, and then select it, and you have an entirely different drum pack. It's very cool. Then you've got like other features which are also very useful, and I'm going to try to reach this. I can't reach it. Oh, there we go. It's almost big enough. Almost big enough. I'm pressing. Oh, there we go. Okay. You've got your endless sequencer here. This is a really cool feature. I'm going to show you here. So I'm going to hold this. I recorded this in here. You can do up to 128 beats or 128 steps in each pattern. I've done a 16-step thing on here. I can choose a different drum. See, so it uses the same pattern on that. And actually, if I go back to the synth here, it's actually doing the same thing. You can't hear it very well because this sound is very quiet, but it's actually playing the same sequence. So I have to turn that off. Actually, it's playing the synth sequence. I didn't know that. The endless will record two different patterns or sequences, one for the drums and one for the synths. Okay, so this all sounds very cool, but let's talk about a feature about the OP-1 that really blows my mind for music production that I really absolutely love. Let's go to the tape feature. Some people really love this, and some people really don't, and I think the people who don't are kind of crazy because it's a fantastic feature. The tape feature allows you to, of course, record on a tape. So you've got 4 tracks. That sounds absolutely minimal, right? That sounds like, oh my God, what the hell could I do with 4 tracks? If you've ever used music software, then you'll know that if you, let's say, go to pattern 1 and you make a change, then it will change pattern 1 through any point in the song, because you're basically just looping patterns over and over and extending the length of it and then adding and building onto it. That's not the way that the tape feature works, and it's really cool. And I'll show you about that right now. So there's a little, you know, sample right there. Cool, whatever. Let's say I like 1, I don't like 2, so I go back to, what is that? 3, okay, 3. I'll lift that out of there. I've just lifted that. If I started recording something else into 3, then, or if I dropped something else into 3, like there's lift and drop, okay? So if I lifted, if I dropped something else into 3, then it would permanently delete whatever's currently inside of the lift. Okay, so if I press it again, it drops it back again. Cool, it's still there, and I can play it. I actually don't like that sound, so let's lift it. Now I can do something like recording this in here. Kind of ugly sounding, all right, cool. Ugly sounding, lift it again. Now, let's say that like we only have 4 tracks here, and a lot of people perhaps, like, you know, would at first thought think, wow, that's really not that many tracks. How could I do something like that, like, you know, make a song or like a really good idea with only 4 tracks? But there's actually overdubbing on this thing. So let's say I place, like, let's get 1 here and lift it up, and let's drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it. Okay, so I've got 30 seconds of song right now, okay? Let's start my end point here. So right now it's 1 to 30. Let's go back a few bars. Hold shift, 1, 2, 3, 4. And press 1. That means that right now my current section is here to here. I don't know why the length is wrong. I must have changed the beats per minute. Let's play it. Might be not be lined up. It seems to be short. Yeah, it's working. That's kind of weird though. Oh, that's kind of weird. Okay, let's drop that back in there. Okay, so here, and I'm gonna press play. Let's say I want to expand on that a little bit. So I go to the drums here, I choose myself a pack. Okay, so I can either record a new pattern on top of this, or I can add to it. So let's just add to it. However, I seem to have the timing wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go to 1. Let's just lift all these. Okay, and then we're gonna go 1. We're on the beat. Go back to tape. I'm now changing pattern 1, aren't I? Okay. That's kind of acting weird though. It's looping wrong. Whatever. Stop. Pick it up. Oh, the other one's looping into it. Okay, sorry about this. I don't know why that's happening. I've got the timing wrong. I'm gonna go back to 1. We're gonna go here. We're gonna set our in, and we're just gonna record over this. Yeah, it's recording right now. Sorry for wasting your time. I promise I'll be done soon. I could have done this easier if I just recorded a 4-bar session and then placed it. But hey, where's the fun and easy? It's more fun to hear a really boring beat over and over again. Ooh. Okay. Cool. Okay, so got that there. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4 bars in. Let's set the in point. 1, 2, 3, 4 bars in, set the out point. So now it's working in that little thing and it'll also loop in there. Now, you know, here is that sound, cool. But let's say I want to spice it up a little bit. I only have 4 tracks, right? So you think, okay, I should probably put it in track 2 because I don't want to overwrite track 1. That's not how it works. Go to track 1 right here and I can click on record. Oh, first I gotta go to the drums, turn off my sequencer. Okay. Then we'll click on a different beat. Okay, so let's go back to the tape here, and then I can go okay. Ugly sound, whatever, that's not the point. The point is to show you that it's still playing the old stuff and it's recorded over it. So it's not actually 4-track in the sense of the way you're thinking. But most importantly, or more importantly than that, is if I go back to the previous part of the tracks, it hasn't changed the entire pattern for 1. It's only a change in that spot. So imagine what you can do with that. You do 30 seconds of the song, you make it the way you want, and on the 30th second or 16th or 18th bar, you want to make another change in there. You can actually put a melodic or bass line or complete chord changes into the song just by hitting record and doing that. Now you might think, like, what if I make a mistake? It's a little bit of a hassle, but let's say you work in a 4-bar pattern. You can delete that section right there. Let's go here. Let's pick it up. It's deleted. Then I go 1, 2, 3, 4. I pick this one up and I drop this one and drop it in there. Then I stop and play. And guess what? It's the original one because I lifted the other one after and pasted it in that spot. So I can try again. Works really well for melodies and things like that as well. So you can actually stack the beats, stack layers upon the beats, put in little accents and whatnot. You can stack layers on the bass, you can stack layers on whatever you've got in 3 and 4. So that's a really beneficial or really useful, what is it? It's a useful something. It's a really useful feature. It makes the recording feature very easy, very good. Now, another thing that I really liked about this device was that the line in right here was a line in. Sorry, that's a headphone jack. This is the line in. Red means recording. Okay, so the line in, bad finger, right here is quite useful for putting other like sounds into it. So for example, on my iPhone, I have the Rolly Blocks, the Rolly Noise software, and I also have a set of Rolly Blocks, which I don't have in the room with me. So I'll often want to like add to the level of the song. Let's say I might feel like what I've made on the OP-1 feels a little bit dry, or I want some sort of like momentous change halfway through the song. So what I'll do is I'll plug the wire going from my iPhone went down into that there. I'll bring up noise and I'll start playing this, you know, and let it like play a few loops so that I start getting in the feel of it. Then I'll hit record, like I'll hit stop and record. And of course, this microphone button will set it so that as soon as I press, like as soon as it reads sound from the external source, so from my iPhone, as soon as it gets sound, it will start doing the recording. So it doesn't actually just keep recording and then you have to press the buttons at the right time and hope that you line it up. No, it won't start recording until you make noise from the device that you're recording from. So it's really great if you're using something like the Noise app where it just plays little bars. The Noise app only plays little samples that you make over and over and over again. So you can hit record on here, you can wait for a signal, and you can hit noise on the iPhone or whatever other source or device you have for making noise or making music, and it will start recording in line with that. So as long as you have your beats per minute set properly on whatever device you're using, and here, then it should record things in time. And guess what? I've done that before and it works absolutely perfectly. I'll show you a quick sample of me, or of a song that I made doing that. And I think I can find it. I think it's this one. Is it this one? Maybe not. Oh, hold on a sec here. No, sorry, one sec here. I promise I'll find it in a second here. Maybe this one. Yeah. Okay. Oops. So right now you're listening to something that I made on here. And not very loud. Let me turn the volume up a little bit. I'm really sorry to not have proper professional gear to do this with. The melody that you hear in the background is me playing on a Rolly keyboard using the Noise app. And that is not a pattern on the Rolly keyboard. It's just me playing freehand while the beat and whatnot plays on the OP-1. So it was really cool to be able to play the OP-1 and record into that. And actually, I used another feature of the OP-1 while I was recording that song. I used the album. So I stopped and I played this thing here. I pressed play, or sorry, I went to here, to the album here, and I went to side A, and then I hit record and play at the same time. Sorry, record and play at the same time. I'm getting all mixed up here. I hit these two buttons at the same time and it will start recording on here, whatever's playing on here, and coming through the line in. So it starts playing through it. I could go back to the here and start like muting different sounds while they're playing and letting them, like the drum come in at the right time and whatnot. And then I started playing on the Rolly keyboard, and the sound coming through the Rolly keyboard was just perfectly integrated into the song that I had made on this device. It was wonderful. So anyway, is this really a review or is it a tutorial? I don't know. You decide. I think it's really hard to watch review videos of the OP-1 from anybody who's used it or loves it and not learn something from it. So, I mean, I guess that goes to say something about it. There's a lot more features about the OP-1, but unfortunately I don't have any examples on here. Like I don't really have anything pre-recorded, because I recently reset my device. I unfortunately had an issue with the device that my speaker stopped working. That was weird. And I read up on Reddit and some other people have had that problem, and that was kind of annoying. And then somebody suggested to me to plug in my headphone jack and wiggle it and take it back out again, and it might work again, and sure enough it did. So that was nice, crossing my fingers that it stays that way. So that pretty much wraps up my Teenage Engineering OP-1 review. I guess I should talk a little bit about the hardware first before we go, or just the feel. It feels really good in the hand. Everything's really nicely made. All the knobs work really well. The keys are really great to make out a melody or pump out a melody or bass line or whatnot. They're not velocity sensitive, so you can't go la, la. You can't do that. It just doesn't work. They're just one stage, but that's okay. You can actually tweak the level and velocity of things with the knobs. So for example, you might be like lightly touching something here and then heavier in a certain part of the song, but what you can actually do is adjust the attack and delay of the sound using the knobs so that you can touch it really quickly to do a light one and harder to I don't know. Do you like my singing voice? So you can actually do a lot of stuff with it, and I don't know, I don't really miss the velocity sensitive keys of, let's say, the Rolly, because I can actually just plug the Rolly keyboard into it. It works really well. As for the actual feel of the device in the hands, it looks like a cheap little piece of toy. It doesn't it, right? Like if you ask me how much this thing cost, or if you ask somebody who didn't know anything about it how much it cost, you'd think, wow, is it like a $7 Kmart special? But actually, this thing is full metal body, only like the front parts here, the keys and the mountings are plastic, of course, but everything's very premium. It feels very solid. It's an aluminum machined body here, and it is actually quite heavy. It feels like what an iPhone 4 would have felt like if you made it this big. That's what it feels like. It's heavy, it's solid, not super heavy, but heavier than the piece of plastic that it looks to be. And it is definitely a premium device, and because it's a premium device, it kind of costs a bit more than you would expect something so small to cost. This little device costs, I think it's about $900 from most places right now. I got mine for over $1,000 because I bought it in China and everything's more expensive here. But is it worth it? I would say, oh hell yeah. I used to make a lot of music and stuff like that on Fruity Loops and other different music programs. And the thing is, I was always fighting with my mouse to try to get notes in place on the sequencer, or I was like, I don't know, I just didn't really feel connected to my music. With this thing, with hardware in general, but with this thing, I feel very connected to the music. It's fun to tweak things while you're playing it and recording and whatnot, and it's really cool to choose different filters. Everything's at the fingers. It all makes sense. Everything's color-coded. You know, it's intuitive. That's the biggest thing. It's intuitive. And it feels like a premium device. You plug some headphones in there. This speaker kind of sucks. Plug some headphones in there. You go out on the train or whatever, you start making some sounds, some music, and it just feels really good. Another additional note is the battery on here is great. It's really, really good. It lasts a friggin' long time. It's about 16 hours. I've heard other people say, Andrew Huang on his channel said it's about 16 hours of playtime. I have run the battery out once, and since then I've been a little bit more careful about it, but when I say I ran it out once, I played with it. That's probably my first or second or third day. I played with it all day. I didn't turn it off, and I just kept making more and more music and sounds and learning about how to use it. And I ran the battery out. But aside from that, the battery lasts a really long time. It's kind of ridiculous. You can put this thing in a backpack or a large winter jacket pocket and take it out with you, and you won't need to worry about that. It's very, very good. That about wraps up my my totally amateur teenage engineering OP-1. Ta-da! OP-1 review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you do, leave a thumbs up, and if you didn't, well, just you know what to do. You know what to do. And don't bother subscribing to my channel because I make no promises of making videos regularly. If you like the occasional update or review on something, then go ahead and subscribe. But if you're like, I need more content from them users or I will not subscribe to them, then you shouldn't subscribe to me. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Katicus out.